Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Saida Khadija Fatima and I'll be dealing with head and neck pathology today. In head and neck pathology, we'll be talking about odontogenic cysts and tumors. We'll start with normal development of tooth. Teeth are normally composed of three calcified tissue and a connective tissue. The three calcified tissues include enamel, dentin, and cementum, and the pulp is composed of connective tissue. Embryologically, odontogenic development takes place from primitive structure called the dental lamina. Inner epithelial layer of the dental lamina is ectoderm-derived columnar to cuboidal oral epithelium called ameloblast, which secrete enamel matrix, also called enamel organ. Mesoderm-derived connective tissue give rise to structures in the dental papilla, that is dental pulp or core of loose connective tissue or blood vessels and nerves. Outer margin of the dental papilla differentiates into odontoblast, which continue with ameloblastic epithelium. Odontoblasts secrete dentin. So I'm sure it must be difficult for you to follow. So there's a descriptive diagram here. So there's the ectoderm and the mesenchyme. So teeth is derived from a ectomesenchymal tissue. So the ectoderm now differentiates or invaginate into the mesenchyme in the form of a bud. That's called as enamel organ. The connective tissue adjacent to the enamel organ differentiates into dental papilla. So this dental papilla will be adjacent to the inner enamel epithelium. Based on differential in the growth and function of the cells of the enamel organ, the enamel organ will differentiate into a cup-like structure. The outer lining of the upper and the outer lining of the cup is called outer enamel epithelium, and the base or the base of the cup is formed by inner enamel epithelium. The mesenchyme adjacent to the inner enamel epithelium forms a dental papilla. Now the third stage is the Bell stage. In the Bell stage, the dental papilla now invaginates into the inner enamel epithelium to form the proper dental papilla, and the epithelium adjacent to the dental papilla, that is inner enamel epithelium, differentiates into ameloblast. The outer lining of the dental papilla will differentiate into odontoblast. So odontoblast and ameloblast will be seen adjacent to each other. The only difference is ameloblast will lay enamel and odontoblast will secrete dentin. Outer enamel epithelium and inner enamel epithelium will have a space in between them that will be differentiated into stellates type of or star-shaped cells because of accumulation of water and glycosaminoglycans. These polygonal cells will differentiate into star-shaped cells. So that's called as stellate reticulum, which is nothing but star-shaped cells with loose connective tissue. So now you've got dental papilla with the stellate reticulum. The lining of the enamel epithelium now converts into ameloblast, and outer lining of the dental papilla converts into odontoblast. So now this entire thing is called as tooth organ. And one more thing is the mesenchyme adjacent to the outer enamel epithelium. Okay, like here. The mesenchyme adjacent to the outer enamel epithelium will differentiate into dental follicle. So dental follicle will with dental papilla and the enamel organ entire is called as tooth germ. So this is how the bell-shaped enamel organ will look like. This is the ameloblast cells, which have palisading nucleus, and this is the inner enamel epithelium, which has differentiated into ameloblasts, and this is the outer enamel epithelium. In between them is the loose star-shaped cells that's called as stellate reticulum. So just remember the appearance of the stellate reticulum, the ameloblasts, which are palisading, which are the cells with palisading nuclei, and The characteristic feature of this ameloblast is there's a basement membrane between the dental lamina and the inner enamel epithelium. So the nuclei will point away from the basement membrane. So can you see a clear space in between the dental papilla and the ameloblastic nuclei? So that's a basement membrane, and the nuclei will be away from the basement membrane. So that's a characteristic feature of ameloblastic cells. And the outer layer of the dental papilla will differentiate into odontoblast, which secrete dentin in the erupted tooth. Normal structure of a erupted tooth will be the outermost covering of the tooth will be composed of enamel, which is almost entirely composed of inorganic material, as in bone. Dentin lies under the enamel and comprises most of the tooth substance, and it is composed of organic material in the form of collagen fibers as well as inorganic material in the form of calcium phosphates, as in bone. Dentin is composed of odontoblast or dental cells, which are counterparts of osteocytes in the bone. Cementum is the portion of the tooth which covers the dentin at the root of the tooth and is the site where periodontal ligament is attached. Cementum is similar to bone in morphology and composition. Dental pulp is inner to dentine and occupies the pulp cavity and root canal. It consists of connective tissue, blood vessels, and nerve. Nests of odontogenic epithelium are normally present in the jaw and may develop into cysts and tumors. So this is a normal erupted tooth. The outermost covering is enamel. Then below the enamel is the dentin, which extends up to the root canal and covers the pulp entirely. Dentin is immediately covered by cementum in the periodontal tissues up to the root canal. Then there is periodontal membrane which surrounds the root canal and protects the tooth as such. Inflammatory diseases of the teeth include dental caries and periodontal abscess. So dental caries is the most common disease of dental tissue causing destruction of the calcified tissues of teeth. Etiopathogenesis dental caries is essentially a disease of modern society associated with diet containing high proportion of refined carbohydrates. Mixture of sugar with saliva in the presence of acidogenic bacteria of the mouth, especially streptococci, produces organic acids which can decalcify enamel and dentin. Enamel is largely composed of inorganic material, so this virtually disintegrates. Dentin contains organic material, also which is left after decalcification. So bacteria present in the oral cavity cause proteolysis of the remaining organic material of dentin, completing the process of destruction. So this is how a dental caries will look like with destroyed enamel and dentin, and the exposed pulp will undergo the trauma and will be affected in the form of pulpitis because of the inflammatory cells released by the vascular structures in the pulp. So this mostly composed of acute and chronic inflammatory cells which will now infiltrate until the root and can cause periapical or apical abscess. Periodontal disease is chronic inflammation and degeneration of supporting tissues of teeth, resulting in teeth loss. So here, this is the adjacent soft tissue supporting the tooth in the gingiva. That is the gingiva, the gingival sulcus, and the soft tissue surrounding the cementum until the root canal entirely will be involved, or specifically will be involved, sparing the enamel and the dentin and the pulp cavity. So that's called as periodontal abscess. Now coming to the classification of the cyst of the jaw, the cysts are classified into epithelial and non-epithelial type. Epithelial cysts are the ones which have an outer lining of a true epithelium. The non-epithelial cyst won't have a true epithelium and it's called as a pseudocyst. The epithelial cyst will be again classified into odontogenic cyst and non-odontogenic cyst. Based on etiology, the odontogenic cyst is derived into developmental cyst and inflammatory cyst, and based on site of origin, it is divided into reduced enamel epithelium, cell rest of Serrae, cell rest of molasses, and unclassified. So developmental cysts are again classified into gingival cyst of infants, gingival cyst of adults, odontogenic keratocyst, dendrogenous cyst, eruption cyst, lateral periodontal cyst, botryoid odontogenic cyst, glandular odontogenic cyst, calcifying odontogenic cyst. Inflammatory cysts are divided into periapical or apical cyst, residual cyst, paradental cyst. Based on site of origin and reduced enamel epithelium, it is of dendrogenous cyst and eruption cyst types. The cell rest of Serrae includes odontogenic keratocyst, gingival cyst of newborn, gingival cyst of adults, lateral periodontal cyst, glandular odontogenic cyst. Cell rest of molasses includes periapical cyst and residual cyst, and unclassified cyst includes calcified odontogenic cyst and paradental cyst. Among the non-odontogenic epithelium cyst, fissural cyst and developmental cyst will be there. Fissural cyst includes median anterior maxillary cyst, nasopalatine duct cyst, nasolabial cyst, globulomaxillary cyst, median mandibular cyst. The developmental cyst includes palatal cyst of neonate, thyroglossal tract cyst, benign cervical lymphepithelial cyst, epidermoid and dermoid cyst, heterotropic oral gastrointestinal cyst. So in inflammatory cyst, we'll be talking about radicular cyst. Radicular cyst is also called as apical, periapical, periodontal, or simply dental cyst. It is most common cyst originating from the dental tissues. It arises consequent to inflammation following destruction of the dental pulp, such as in dental caries, pulpitis, and apical granuloma. Most often, the radicular cyst is observed at the apex of erupted tooth and sometimes contains thick pultaceous material. So you will find this at the apex. So there are two images of a radicular cyst originating from a non-vital deciduous second molar and show expansion of the buccal cortical plate to a circular shape and displacement of the adjacent permanent tooth. So this is the radicular cyst, mostly at the apex of the tooth. Histologically, the radicular cyst is lined by non-keratinized squamous epithelium. See, ameloblastic epithelium or odontogenic epithelium is a derivative of a squamous epithelium only. So you find non-keratinized squamous epithelium here. Radicular cyst of the maxilla may be lined by respiratory epithelium. The cyst wall also contains fibrous tissue and contains chronic inflammatory cells like lymphocytes, plasma cells with Russell bodies and macrophages, hyaline bodies, and deposits of cholesterol crystals which may be associated with foreign body giant cells. So this is how a radicular cyst will look like. So mostly it will be at the apex here, and it can extend into the bone. So here also you find it at the apex and it will be lined by squamous lining. The cystic cavity will be composed of necrotic material and inflammatory infiltrate, and this might infiltrate into the pulp of the tooth. Adjacent tissue can be composed of fibrous tissue with chronic inflammatory cells. You can also see multinucleate giant cells here. Developmental cyst includes dentigeneous cyst or follicular cyst. Dentigeneous cyst arises from enamel of an unerupted tooth. Mandibular third molars and maxillary canines are most often involved. These cysts are more significant because of reported occurrence of ameloblastoma and carcinoma in them. Ameloblastoma and carcinoma is more common in follicular cyst. Histologically, dentigeneous cyst is composed of thin fibrous tissue wall lined by stratified squamous epithelium again, and thus the cyst may resemble radicular cyst, except chronic inflammatory changes which is characteristic of radicular cyst, is absent in dentidigenous cyst. Eruption cyst, this is a cyst lying over the crown of unerupted tooth again, and it is lined by stratified squamous epithelium. So this is a form of dentidigenous cyst. Gingival cyst arises from epithelial rest in the gingiva and is lined by keratinizing squamous epithelium. So you must have noticed that all the developmental cysts will be lined by mostly keratinizing squamous epithelium. Odontogenic tumors. Odontogenic tumors are a group of uncommon lesions of the jaw derived from odontogenic apparatus. So odontogenic apparatus means the ameloblast and the odontogenic epithelium. So these tumors are usually benign, but some have malignant counterparts. So we'll classify the odontogenic tumors now. Based on benign and malignant behavior, benign lesions are again divided into, based on origin of the tumor, epithelial, mesenchymal, mixed epithelial and mesenchymal origin. So in the benign and of epithelial origin are ameloblastoma, adenomatoid odontogenic tumor, that is adenoameloblastoma, and calcifying epithelial odontogenic tumor. From the mesenchymal origin is the odontogenic myxoma, odontogenic fibroma and cementoma. Mixed epithelial and mesenchymal are ameloblastic fibroma, ameloblastic fibroodontoma and complex odontomas. Malignant counterparts of ameloblastoma is called as malignant ameloblastoma or ameloblastic carcinoma. Mesenchymal origin is ameloblastic fibrosarcoma. The benign odontogenic tumors includes ameloblastoma, which is the most common benign but locally invasive epithelial odontogenic tumor. It is most frequent in the 3rd to 5th decades of life. Preferential sites are the mandible and the maxilla. Tumor originates from the dental epithelium of the enamel itself or its epithelial residues. So if you remember, ameloblastoma cells secrete enamel. So that's why tumor originates from dental epithelium of the enamel or its epithelial residues. Sometimes the tumor may arise from epithelial lining of a dentidigenous cyst. Radiologically, typical picture is of a multilocular destruction of bone. Grossly, the tumor is grayish white, usually solid, sometimes cystic, replacing and expanding the affected bone. Histologically, ameloblastoma can show different patterns. The first pattern is the follicular pattern, which is the most common. Tumor consists of follicles of variable size and shape separated from each other by fibrous tissue. The structure of follicles is similar to that of enamel organ, consisting of central area of stellate cell resembling stellate reticulum and peripheral layer of cuboidal or columnar cells resembling epithelium. The central stellate cells or stellate area may show cystic changes. So if you remember the enamel organ, which I showed you earlier, so the enamel organ is composed of outer epithelial lining and inner epithelial lining, and in between them are the stellate cells. So this follicular pattern gives the same kind of image. So this is how. So do you remember the bud stage which I was talking about, the bud and the cap stage? So these follicles will resemble that, with the lining of ameloblastic cells and intervening area filled with stellate reticulum, and between the follicles is the fibrous tissue stroma. So if you have a closer look, these ameloblastic cells, the nuclei will be away from the basement membrane. They'll be palisading in nature and away from the basement membrane. So palisading means they'll be arranged side by side in the form of a fence. And suppose this is the basement membrane, so nuclei will be arranged to the opposite side. Okay. So that's the characteristic feature of ameloblastic epithelium. And in between the epithelium is the star-shaped stellate cells. Okay, these are the stellate cells, and this is the cystic spaces in between them. Sometimes what you are seeing here is the squamous metaplasia in between the follicles. Plexiform pattern is the next common pattern after follicular pattern, and the tumor epithelium is seen to form irregular plexiform masses or network of strands. The stroma is usually scanty. Microcyst formation can occur in the stroma. So this is a plexiform pattern with the ameloblastic epithelium in the form of plexiform network of strands of epithelial cells. In between that is the stellate area, and here sometimes in between them you can see cystic, in the stellate area you can see cystic spaces. So again you can see the nuclei will be palisading in nature, and intervening stellate tissue will be there. Other types of ameloblastic epithelium is acanthomatous pattern. Acanthomatous means squamous metaplasia will be there within the islands of tumor cells. Basal cell pattern means basiloid type of cells will be there. It will resemble basal cell carcinoma. Now basal cell carcinoma will also have nest of cells with peripheral palisading pattern similar to ameloblastoma. So those are very close DD, but you can differentiate ameloblastoma based upon the stellate reticular cell as well as the clefts. The nests will be surrounded by clefts in basal cell carcinoma. So that's called as retraction artifacts. So that those two things will help in differentiating basal cell carcinoma from ameloblastoma. Granular cell pattern is characterized by appearance of acidophilic granularity in the cytoplasm of the tumor cells. Now the second benign tumor is odontogenic adenomatoid tumor, that is also called as adenoameloblastoma, which is a benign tumor seen more often in females in their second decade of life. Tumor is most commonly associated with an unerupted tooth and thus closely resembles dentinogenous cyst radiologically. Unlike ameloblastoma, adenomatoid odontogenic tumor is not invasive, nor does it recur after enucleation. Histologically, the lesion has extensive cyst formation, and the wall of the cyst contains scant fibrous tissue in which are present characteristic tubule-like structure composed of epithelial cell, and hence the name adenomatoid. So this is the wall of the cystic structures. So this wall is composed of nests of epithelial cells resembling ameloblastic cells, and the small cystic spaces, which is lined again by ameloblastic epithelium, which is nothing but cuboidal to columnar epithelium. And again you can see that if this is the basement membrane of the epithelium, then the nuclei is oriented away from the lumen of these small cysts. Then there are foci of calcification in these nests. So this glandular spaces like structures will present. That's why adenomatoid word came into existence, and because of the presence of this odontogenic epithelium, that's why the name adenomatoid or odontogenic adenomatoid tumor. The next tumor is calcifying epithelial odontogenic tumor. It is a rare lesion which is locally invasive and recurrent like ameloblastoma, and it is seen most commonly in the 4th and the 5th decades. It can occur more commonly in the region of mandible. Histologically, the tumor consists of closely packed polyhedral epithelial cells having feature of nuclear pleomorphism, giant nuclei, and rare mitotic figure. The stroma is often scanty and appears homogeneous and hyalinized, in which small calcified deposits are seen, which are a striking feature of this tumor. So here you can see polyhedral cells with multiple sides will be there, so that's why polyhedral appearance of the cells. Usually polyhedral appearance arises in squamous derived epithelium, so that's why this is a ameloblastic cells or odontogenic epithelium is a kind of squamous epithelium. So here you can see polyhedral cells, but the striking feature is the difference in the nuclei. So there is a pleomorphism in the nuclei, different size and shape, as well as hyperchromasia, and increased mitotic figures can also be seen. So highly pleomorphic cells, and the stroma here is highly hyalinized and calcified. So that's a striking feature here: calcification, hyalinization of the stroma, and polyhedral cells with pleomorphism. Odontogenic myxoma or myxofibroma. So this is a benign tumor with both epithelial and mesenchymal origin. It is locally invasive and recurring tumor. Microscopically, it is characterized by abundant mucoid stroma and loose stellate cell, in which are seen a few strands of odontogenic epithelium. So here you can see the background stroma is myxoid. Myxoid in the sense it is mostly the myxoid appearance comes because of the presence of mucopolysaccharides or glycosaminoglycans, which stain pale blue in color on hematoxylin eosin sections. So here the stroma is myxoid in appearance, whereas these scattered stellate cells or star-shaped cells with their processes can be seen. In this you cannot see the odontogenic epithelium as such, but sometimes nest of the epithelium can also be present. Ameloblastic fibroma is also another tumor consisting of both epithelial and mesenchymal derived tissue of the odontogenic apparatus. It resembles ameloblastoma but can be distinguished from it because of ameloblastic fibroma and occurs in younger age groups below 20 years. And the clinical behavior is always benign. Histologically, it consists of epithelial follicles similar to those of ameloblastoma set in a very cellular connective tissue stroma. So nothing but the stroma is very prominent here with abundant fibroblastic proliferation will be there. So these are plump spindle shaped cells in between the ameloblastic epithelium. So odontogenic cords will be there within immature mesenchymal stroma. Odontomas are hamartomas that contain both epithelial and mesodermal dental tissue components. There are three types. Complex odontoma. This is always benign and consists of enamel, dentine, cementum, which are not differentiated. The structure actually resembles a tooth. Compound odontoma is also benign and is comprised of differentiated dental tissue, forming a number of denticles in fibrous tissue. Ameloblastic fibrodontoma is a lesion that resembles ameloblastic fibroma with odontoma formation. So here in complex odontoma, all the three tissues will be present, but it is not differentiated. Whereas in compound, all the three tissues are present, but it is differentiated, forming a number of denticles. And ameloblastic fibroma is ameloblastic fibroma with odontoma, ameloblastic fibrodontoma. So what we are seeing here is a complex odontoma. So if you remember, complex odontoma doesn't have differentiated structures, but it will have all the three components from the enamel, dentin, and connective tissue, and odonto and dentin. So here what you're seeing here is ameloblastic epithelium. So ameloblastic epithelium is enamel origin, right? So this is the undifferentiated enamel. And here you are seeing the dentin formation, which is not differentiated as such into dentin layer. So this is a closer view showing elements of complex odontoma. This is the enameloid matrix. Enameloid matrix means it is not a mature kind of enamel, but it is a immature enamel made up of inorganic material. So this is how it looks like. And this is dentin formation, which is halenized in color. This is the actual enamel formed by the ameloblastic epithelium. So all these three structures will be there in a complex odontoma. Cementomas are benign lesions which are characterized by presence of cementum or cementum-like tissue. 5 types of cementomas are there, which is benign cementoblastoma, that is true cementoma, which is a solitary lesion of jaw characterized by features comparable to those of osteoid osteoma, osteoblastoma. So if you want to know how the bone tumors, the osteoid osteoma and osteoblastoma will look like, please go to my bone tumors PPT, then you'll have an idea. So you can compare both the cementoblastoma with the osteoid osteoma. So both of them will be similar to each other. Cementifying fibroma consists of cellular fibrous tissue containing calcified masses of cementum-like tissue. So fibrous tissue with calcified masses is cementifying fibroma. Periapical cemental dysplasia. So this is mostly present at the apex of the tooth, and it is most common and resembles cementifying fibroma, except that it contains more fibrous tissue as well as cementum-like tissue. Multiple apical cementomas are found on apical region of teeth and detected incidentally in postmenopausal women. Gigantiform cementoma is a large lobulated mass of cementum-like tissue. Sometimes there are multiple such masses in the jaw. So this is how a cementum tissue will look like with calcified area. Okay, a dense eosinophilic and basophilic structure. If it is cementifying fibroma, you can find plump spindle-shaped structures also. Coming to the malignant odontogenic tumors, odontogenic carcinoma arises from either ameloblastic carcinoma, which is a tumor arising from the ameloblastoma, which has undergone some cytological changes and has converted into malignancy in a primary tumor. And malignant ameloblastoma is a term used for metastasizing ameloblastoma. So if there is a primary and a carcinoma arises inside that primary, it is ameloblastic carcinoma, and if that has metastasized somewhere, it is called as malignant ameloblastoma. Primary intraosseous carcinoma may develop within the jaw from the rest of odontogenic epithelium. Rarely, carcinoma may arise from odontogenic epithelium lining the odontogenic cyst. So this is how, suppose this was a ameloblastoma, maybe of a plexiform pattern. So this was the ameloblastic cells, and these were the stellate reticular cells. So yeah, now these cells have undergone cytological changes and has converted into anaplastic cells. Then it is called as ameloblastic carcinoma. Odontogenic sarcomas. The only example of odontogenic sarcoma is a rare ameloblastic fibrosarcoma. So if in an ameloblastic fibroma a malignant change will occur, that becomes ameloblastic fibrosarcoma. This tumor resembles ameloblastic fibroma, but the mesodermal component in it is malignant or sarcomatous. Means all the changes of malignancy like anaplasia, that is pleomorphism, increase in NC ratio, will be there in the spindle cells of the fibrous tissue. So whereas the ameloblastic epithelium remains differentiated and benign, so it is the fibrous tissue component which is sarcomatous. So this will look like here. This is the ameloblastic epithelium or odontogenic epithelium, which remains benign, But here the sarcomatous cells or the spindle cells will have all the features like the mitotic figures and the increased NC ratio, hyperchromasia, pleomorphism will be there. So that will point towards fibrosarcoma. So coming to summary, benign epithelial odontogenic tumors are ameloblastoma, which is of unicystic type, peripheral type, metastasizing ameloblastoma, squamous odontogenic tumor, calcifying epithelial odontogenic tumor, adenomatoid odontogenic tumor. Benign mixed epithelial and mesenchymal tumor is ameloblastic fibroma, primordial odontogenic tumor, odontoma, dentyrogenic ghost cell tumor. Benign mesenchymal odontogenic tumors are odontogenic fibroma, odontogenic myxoma, cementoblastoma, cemento-ossifying fibroma, odontogenic cyst of inflammatory origin, includes radicular cyst, inflammatory collateral cyst, and there are other non-odontogenic developmental cysts as well. If I haven't covered any of the tumor here, you can refer your literature, as well as a homework which I will give you is what is the difference between this, the metastasizing ameloblastoma, which is included under benign epithelial odontogenic tumors, and the malignant ameloblastic carcinoma. So thank you so much for your patient listening. If any doubts, please mention in the comments section. I'll be glad to answer. Thank you.